get so mad, there's no controlling me. My thoughts get so bad, I'm like, oh God, here goes. I lost all feeling from my head to my toes. You said some shit that I can't let go, so just stay tuned for the rest of the show.
I mean, at the end of the day, all it is just taking social responsibility for your actions to be fair and be equitable to your fellow human beings.
Absolutely.
That's all it is.
Absolutely.
You can take all the rest of it out of it.
Yep.
That's all it is.
Yep.
And whilst you and right now, you know, there's lots of stories going around, but and I'll use the trans again because in Scotland that's really hit the proverbial because it's being politicised, it's being polarised, and all those people who are.
For anyone who doesn't know, can you share that?
Oh yes,
the,
sorry.
It's
So
the prisoner, the rapist.
Well, there's the first thing was trans activists wanted to have self-identification or self-identity, the ability to say that they are trans or whatever it is, that they're either male or female. Now, there always should be checks and balances in all this, and by self-identification, those checks and balances are sort of taken away. But this is only to, and the gender identity certificate has been used in the papers, and it means nothing. So a gender identification certificate, all that is a birth certificate in law to say that you have changed sex.
Yep.
That's it.
That's all.
For identity purposes, a passport is used by everyone.
Yep.
And in the UK, you can do a deed poll online to change your name and get your passport in any name you like. Minnie Mouse, Mickey Mouse, doesn't matter. If you want to change your sex on that passport, all you need to do is to convince a doctor that you want to change sex, and for him to write a letter to say that that's what you're doing, and then your male or female annotation on your passport can be changed. You don't have to be trans to do that.
No.
Anybody can do
Anyone
that.
can, yep.
So it's actually got nothing to do with, for anybody who wants to do that, and it seems a bit strange to do it, but if you wanted to do that,
you can.
You could, and you could not legally, but identify as going into a ladies' loo, for instance, and
not be challenged.
Yep.
Yep.
So actually, and there are 2 points that need to be sorted out really, because in this Scottish incident, it's all over the place. But the Scottish, so that's the activists, and the Scottish government backed that self-identification. In England, it's different. You have to go through a process, first of all, to determine from psychologists and psychiatrists that this is probably true.
Yes.
Which is what you want to do.
Yes.
And it's not. There can be. It's not clear cut even then.
No.
So, but they try and help, and you need that help to support you in that journey. And the other thing that needs to be looked at is this word trans. What is it? Transvestite or transsexual? Because they're different.
Right.
They share a similar common aim, but actually, in general, transvestites want to just dress up.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's as far as it goes.
Yeah.
Transsexual wants to actually trans to go across to the other sex.
Yeah.
And trans is just picking it all up.
Yeah.
And that spectrum is huge,
of course,
wide.
Of course it is.
And people within there are struggling with all of it.
Yeah.
So this going back to the Scottish situation, England, the views were polarised. England said, no, we're going to carry on. You've got to go through the process. And Scotland said no. And then, of course, Scottish Prime Minister Nicola Sturgeon, she got on board and has used it as a stick against the British government or English government to talk about independence for Scotland. And it's taken completely out of context. And then straight after that we get this the case of the rapist who raped while he was a male, and then started to take on this gender change. And he was convicted of the rape, but by now is seen to be a woman and gets sent to a woman's prison, which you've really got to say this is not right. That's been changed round. But even so, that's the way it went.
It doesn't help the dialogue. It just doesn't help the confusion when so much goes into the media and there's and legislation isn't backing anything either. It's just all very confusing and very. It's almost like it just depends who you've got on the day and who's saying what. It doesn't feel like there's any kind of guidance.
Well, yes, it's quite common so people who've been given rights, the pendulum will swing to the activists. The activists' view tends to be harsh, and then you get polarisation of views.
Yes.
It gives succour to those people who've always been against it, and it just starts to divide, and you end up with those people who have always pushed against it, saying this is rubbish. I don't want to listen to this anymore. It's just too much. Why can't just people treat people differently, treat people the same?
Yeah.
Which is what everybody wants. But actually, it's now giving the opposition that view because they're sick and tired of listening to all this stuff that's going on in the press, and the media are reporting something that isn't actually quite true. It's an overview, but it's much more complicated than that, like everything is.
Of course it is.
So, and again, if you look at this thing I touched on earlier, where the male is stronger and the female is weaker, if you like, just built that way. That's if you look at sports, a trans athlete, man to woman, is going to be stronger.
Physicality.
Whatever you say is going to be stronger. So how can you actually allow that person to compete in a women's event? Now, and there are lots of, and this goes on.
Yes.
But to my mind, this is my view only.
Yes.
This is unfair. And again, it's taking that social responsibility of what is fair.
Yes.
For everybody.
Yes.
And this activism just, as I said before, polarises all these views. And actually what we don't want the views to go away, we want them to come together.
Absolutely, yeah, we do. We're going to wrap it up for today because this is an ongoing conversation, so we're going to be recording again. And we're going to get back out on the hall, but honestly my brain is... Thank you so much. Thank you for being so open, and thank you for your wisdom, because I think there are a lot of people who are genuinely interested in your story, and I do believe there probably are people out there that will take... They will. I'm really sure of it.
I don't think it's wisdom. I think it's more experience.
I think it comes together. Thank you so much, Rachel, and we'll continue the conversation.
Indeed.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no